Greetings and salutations. This is the voice of Loquacious of Herd, bringing you his afterthoughts on My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, Season 7, Episode 5, titled Fluttershy Leans In. I heartily suggest that you find and watch the episode itself, sans commentary, before proceeding with either this Afterthoughts review or viewing my full reaction, which is hosted at the link in the description. Please support the official release. Be warned, this Afterthoughts review will contain spoilers for the episode itself. And with that out of the way, on to the review. This was a Fluttershy story that I really enjoyed for a great many reasons. Again, the season continues strong with slice of life and character development episodes. We open with Angel Bunny doing a training run for the Ponyville Parkour contest. Given that woodland beasts are allowed to enter, I have to wonder if perhaps this particular contest is spelled P-A-W-Cour rather than P-A-R-Cour, because of the paws, you know. And speaking of paws, Angel doesn't quite stick that final landing on a precarious book pile and winds up with one of his badly hurt. Fluttershy is short of bunny foot braces, which is unlucky for this rabbit's foot, so it's off to the vet clinic to meet with Dr. Fauna. It was nice to see the local vet again, and it was good to hear how well the voice actress was able to reproduce Fauna's prior accent, especially since the last time we heard Fauna speak was all the way back in Secret of My Excess.
Well, I'm flummoxed. You bring me a dog, I've got it diagnosed in seconds. A snake even faster, but to be honest, I've never seen a real live dragon before.
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Sit.
As I recall hearing somewhere, she's another one of those ponies with differing names, as there is some merchandise out there which identifies her as Maine Goodall or Maine Cure-All, a play on the name of the noted primatologist Jane Goodall. Also, as an aside, Fluttershy seen through a door's peephole is adorable. Back to the action. It turns out Dr. Fauna can help treat Angel Bunny, but she herself has a problem, specifically an overabundance of critters. Not only is she tending to the various pets, non-pony friends, and domesticated beasties of the Ponyville citizens, but wild creatures have begun dropping by in droves. Why, she can't even take in one more critter right now, and here comes a sick critter right on cue. Oh dear, indeed. And don't think I missed the deer running through the background just then. So, the question of the moment is...
I wonder why they chose to flock to my office. It just doesn't make sense.
Ah, but what fun is there in making sense? This influx of beasties, as it turns out, is not caused by any sudden slew of terrible accidents, illnesses, or injuries, but is instead because of good old word of mouth. Fluttershy has always told her critter friends that Dr. Fauna is a wonderful veterinarian. And Dr. Fauna is. She cares for the creatures and provides excellent medical service. But birds in particular can be chatty, so after enough tweets about how great Dr. Fauna is, now the gossip among all of critter kind is that if you've got a health complaint, make the trek to Ponyville and get treated there. Oopsie. Fluttershy's good word is one of the reasons for the current crisis. The biggest problem in all of this is that after whatever urgent care needed has been provided, creatures are spending the bulk of their recovery time, as well as after-the-fact socialization or just rest and relaxation time, in Fauna's office. It's gotten so crowded in there that she has to go to great lengths to find space to treat actual ailments. Seriously, I feel sorry for the giraffe who has to stand outside only to have her, or his I suppose, head stuck through an open window and resting on a pillow for treatment. Also, as a side note, I have to wonder if giraffes can talk. Thus far, most hooved mammals we've encountered can. Ponies, yaks, bisons, mules, and zebras have been shown to speak, and are treated as people in the world of Equestria. But then, cows talk, and sheep talk, and both are kept as livestock, which is a weird dynamic when one stops to think about it. We've seen deer in the show, but not heard any speak. I'm not going to muddy show canon with comic canon on this point, as I don't know that would really clarify anything in this case. Likewise, now we see a giraffe, but she, I'm just going to go with she for this one, doesn't say anything either. Personally, I'd kind of like it if deer and giraffes could speak, and we just haven't heard any of them choose to do so yet. But back to the problem. Fluttershy has a solution, one which she is very enthusiastic about implementing, one which will get all of Dr. Fauna's ducks in a row. Yes, show, I see what you did there, and I approve of the joke. But Fluttershy has a dream.
My dream is to build a real animal sanctuary. A beautiful habitat where every animal, whether sick or scared, or even just lonely, feathered or furry, scaly or slimy, every critter would be welcome. My sanctuary can be the one place in Equestria they call home till they feel ready to take on the world.
Kudos to Fluttershy. I had always wondered if there was a specific direction her love for animals would guide her, a path or purpose to which she wanted to put her special talent with animal communication. Animal Sanctuary Manager is a perfectly lovely calling, and a growth from what she's already been doing on the side. Once again, the show is offering us progress for the main six. Rarity's fashion empire expands, Rainbow Dash has worked her way into the Wonderbolts, Twilight's finished her role as Celestia's student and even gone so far as to take on and graduate a student of her own, and now Fluttershy's care for critters has a new and expanded outlet as well. Fluttershy acknowledges that her friends have helped her grow in confidence and boldness, which is why she's now able to tackle this undertaking. It's a sweet moment, and an important one. I'll have more to say on this subject later on. Of course, Fluttershy can't build such a place on her own, so she asks her friends to help. They, in turn, are quite willing to assist. And, in the spirit of providing the best assistance possible, Applejack recommends a friend of hers who's an expert in animal enclosures. This prompts Pinkie Pie to suggest recruiting Hardhat, a local builder. And then Rarity chimes in with the name of an interior designer she knows, one Dandy Grandeur. All of which felt quite natural to me. Each of Fluttershy's friends had something of an idea as to what she would want for her sanctuary. A place to keep animals safely enclosed, at least that's what Applejack took from Flutter's descriptions. A place that needed to be built is what Pinkie Pie got out of it. And lastly, Rarity picked up on the point that this would need to be a place that was properly decorated so that the environment would be conducive to the animals' well-being. All of which were elements or facets of the whole, and getting some help with those elements could help the whole project come together nicely. Or competing visions and poor communication could serve as a conflict to scuttle the whole shebang. Once again, the show makes particularly good use of its background and secondary cast of characters. At this point in their development and in their friendship, it would have been wildly out of character for Applejack, Pinkie Pie, or Rarity to work even inadvertently against Fluttershy's stated wishes. There's enough trust and respect among these friends that, even if, as a for instance, Applejack were to start work on the Sanctuary project by getting together cages and other such protective and restrictive enclosures, as soon as Fluttershy said, "No, that's not what we need," Applejack would have gotten that, and a quick conversation later, the work would be underway in a fashion that supported Fluttershy's vision. But these three experts, like the ponies who refer them to Flutters, they have their own ideas about what all an animal sanctuary is, and what should go into building one. They listen to Fluttershy, but rather than strive to understand and embrace her vision, they take a view that could be expressed as, "I'm the expert, so I know best." Which brings us to the conflict. The work that has begun is effectively a mismatch of three wildly different ideas, which not only don't work that great together, but also bear no resemblance to Fluttershy's dream of an animal sanctuary. When it becomes clear that the experts are unwilling to change their own vision to align with Fluttershy's, then she fires them. I suppose it's just as well that the overly enthusiastic animals wound up destroying the half-built mess that had been left behind. After a pause to gather herself and take care of the animals, Fluttershy resumes her attempt, this time calling on her friend's expertise directly. Oh, they've some ideas of their own, but Fluttershy isn't looking for ideas on what needs to be changed with her plans. She's looking for assistance in making the existing plans a reality. And, unlike the experts, her friends are quite willing to try doing things Flutter's way. Furthermore, Fluttershy has called in a favor from a friend who is both an expert in construction and who has a compassionate bond with the wild woodland creatures. I honestly hadn't expected to see any of the Hooffields or McCoults again, but as soon as Big Daddy McCoult walked in the door, I found myself thinking that he was the perfect assistant for the job at hand. As an aside, I had initially thought that Discord might be a good choice to bring in for the work of rearranging the landscape to suit Fluttershy's design. But in retrospect, I suspect it's probably a good thing he stayed out of it. Discord and critters have a bit of a history, and, more importantly, I strongly suspect that chaos and disharmony aren't the elements you really want underpinning a place intended to promote rest, recovery, and healing. I'd consider it quite likely that Discord's chaos magic would leave the landscape very mildly tainted, perhaps nothing that a pony would notice, but the critters would likely find it off-putting and distressing, which would leave the habitat unable to fulfill its intended purpose. But back to Big Daddy McCoult. With his help, the help of the main six, Starlight, and the Cutie Mark Crusaders, the sanctuary takes form. In the end, it is completed exactly as Fluttershy envisioned, and it is perfect. We close with a beautiful lesson on staying true to your dreams. Now, this relatively calm, quiet, cozy slice of life episode felt very pleasant, very nice, quite enjoyable. The real wow factor for me was less the story itself, but more the characterizations involved. Secondary and background characters were invented and reused in ways that were perfect for the roles needed, and every pony's role was spot on. And the biggest wow of all was Fluttershy herself. So many of Flutter's episodes revolve around her either overcoming her shyness, or overcoming a fear, or learning to be more bold when it's needed. She's been down those roads many a time, and has grown with each lesson learned. What we get here is the accumulation of all those lessons. She doesn't struggle with asserting herself, nor with rising to conflict, nor with staying true to a vision in the face of problems and dissent. Instead, every time a problem came up, an event where Fluttershy from, say, Season 1 or Season 2 would have backed away or caved in, she stood her ground and kept pushing forward. But this story isn't about Fluttershy's internal struggles due to her timidity or shyness. This story is about achieving a dream. Timidity and shyness are part of her character. They're important facets, and they can aid or hinder her in her life, but they don't need to be the sole focus of her stories. And it's great to see how this often limiting aspect of Fluttershy's character is now something she can deal with and still get things done. I think it's important to step back and reflect on the fact that the other ponies have their own idiosyncrasies too. Rainbow Dash's competitiveness and athleticism sometimes get her in trouble or make certain undertakings more difficult. Twilight Sparkle's bookishness and focus on academia can likewise limit or hamper her on occasion. Applejack's stubbornness, Pinkie Pie's bouncy energy, Rarity's fashionable eye. These can all be factors in a story. Sometimes overcoming the problems these facets of their personality present can effectively be the story. But it doesn't have to be. So it's very refreshing to see a Fluttershy story where overcoming shyness is not the story itself, but rather an element that helps lend weight to the troubles and difficulties faced in following a dream. I found this exceptionally well done. Bravo! I look forward to seeing more such stories in the future. If you wish to see my full reaction to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Season 7 Episode 5, titled Fluttershy Leans In, the link, as I mentioned earlier, is in the description. Feel free to leave any comments or likes for that reaction here on this Afterthoughts review. And until next time, as always, kindly remember, y'all are awesome. Stay awesome.